Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming my July TBR slash try a chapter of my July TBR book tag video-ish thing. I was like, I want to film another try a chapter, but I also kind of want to film a July TBR to talk about what I'm going to be reading, and then I was like, what if I just combine the two things and just read a chapter of all the books on my TBR? So I have a lot of books on my July TBR, but I picked the top 7 books that I'm most likely to get to. At least I think it's 7, I don't know. The first book that I'm definitely planning on getting to in July, and the first chapter I'm going to be reading, is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. This is a sci-fi book that I've just been really interested in for a long time, and I just want to try it and just see how it goes. The next one is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This is another, this is like a thriller, and it's like told with clues. I don't know, it just sounds really interesting. I've heard really great reviews, so I want to try this one. The third one is going to be The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, and this is his brand new horror novel that just came out a few days ago. Really curious about this one, so I want to read the first chapter and see how it feels. Next one is An Ocean of Minutes, and this is a new book that I just got sent to me in the mail from Touchstone, and it's a time travel romance story. It's about this couple who gets caught up in this deadly flu virus in America, and so she sends herself into the future to save him, and then she sends herself too far into the future, and then they get lost in time, and it just sounds crazy, so definitely want to read the first chapter of this one. The next first chapter I want to read is from Intercepted by Alexa Martin. This is a new adult romance novel that's coming out in September that I was sent an arc of, and it's about this girl who like dates NFL players and stuff. And the last one is The Proposal, and this is also a new adult romance that goes on sale in September. And this one follows this girl who's at Dodger Stadium with her boyfriend, and he proposes to her and she has to reject him because she's not ready for a proposal. And then at the Dodger game she meets this doctor named Carlos, and then they start to have a thing. And yeah, I just want to read the first chapter to like get a feel for this book. And I know I said I would do 7, but the 7th book that I really want to get to in July is The Astonishing Color of After. And this book, I actually already did a reaction to the first chapter in my try a chapter book tag of the popular young adult books, so if you want to see that video, I'll put a link in the description. But yeah, I already read this first chapter in a try a chapter book video, and I fucking loved this first chapter, hence why I like bought the physical book so I can read the whole thing physically, and I didn't realize how thick it is. Alright, so I guess those are the 6 books I'm going to be trying a chapter of for this video. Maybe one more at the end, I don't know, we'll see. Let's just jump right into reading these first chapters. I'm really excited. Any of these that I don't have physically, I'm just going to be reading the first chapter like either on my phone or on my iPad or something. You know, iBooks lets you download the first chapter of any book you want for free. It's like a sample, so if you didn't know that, it's cool. So let's just jump right into it. Boom! Alright, so I just finished the first chapter of The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. This seems like the perfect amount of like sci-fi mixed with more of like a contemporary. The main guy is the captain of the ship called the Wayfarer. His name is Ashby, and his job is to build wormholes, which is like so fucking cool. And then he's like hiring an assistant. They keep mentioning that the crew of this spaceship is interspecies, like there's all kinds of species living on this spaceship. Just so curious, like they're not all human. I don't know exactly what they all are, but then the next chapter is about the new assistant Rosemary coming onto the ship to help them, and it seems like there's going to be a lot of tension already because one of the guys already has like an issue with her because he thinks she's like inexperienced and fresh out of college and doesn't really know anything. So I'm really curious already, and I do like the writing style. It feels like my perfect blend of like contemporary and sci-fi. It's like very light sci-fi but still interesting enough to like keep me interested, you know? So I'm really liking this one so far. Just finished the first chapter of The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and like this shit sounds crazy. Like the very first opening sentence of the book is, "I forget everything between footsteps. Anna," I finished shouting, snapping my mouth shut in surprise. My mind has gone blank. I don't know who Anna is or why I'm calling her name. I don't even know how I got here. I'm standing in a forest, shielding my eyes from the spitting rain. My heart's thumping. I reek of sweat and my legs are shaking. I must have been running, but I can't remember why. This person is just all of a sudden like thrown into a situation and they don't know who they are and they don't know what's going on, and it kind of reminds me of like Memento because of that. So automatically I'm really interested in this, and they can't remember anything about, like, they don't have any memories, they can't remember their family, like they don't know who they are. He calls out her name again and he sees this woman running, and then it says 30 seconds. That's how long I hesitated when I first spotted her, and that's how far away I was when she was murdered. He hears this voice behind him that just says east, and he like reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a compass, and he knows that he has to go east now. I don't know, this sounds really interesting. It already sounds like it's building this really cool premise. I can't wait to read that one. That sounds crazy. Just got really hungry, so I went and made some granola and yogurt, and now I'm going to read The Cabin at the End of the World, because what? Isn't granola and strawberries just like the greatest fucking thing in the world? Yeah? No? Okay. I just finished the first chapter of The Cabin at the End of the World. I finished my yogurt. It was a long chapter. It was 35 pages on my phone. And I don't even know if this is the end of the first chapter because it doesn't let me, it says continue reading and you have to purchase the whole thing, because I guess they only let me read the first 35 pages. But from what I've read, this sounds so interesting, and I didn't realize that, you know, because all I knew about this book was it was about this strange man who shows up on this house and like scares this little girl and whatever, and that definitely like happens, and it's so creepy. In the first chapter, this like dude just comes out of the woods and like shows up on their driveway, and he's like trying to play with her, like catching grasshoppers and stuff, and it's really creepy. But also what I didn't realize is that the little girl is 8 years old. Well, she's gonna be 8 years old in a couple days, and she has two dads, and she talks about how her two dads, she has Daddy Eric and Daddy Andrew. She talks about how she gets like made fun of sometimes at school because she has two dads and stuff, and I just didn't realize like that she had two dads in this book. Like, that's so cute. Sounds really creepy so far. I don't really like, I'm getting that like eerie feeling like when you know something bad is about to happen, like she's about to get kidnapped or some shit. And yeah, he's just asking her all these weird things like, oh, what was your first memory, and like, how old are you, and you know, all these like weird creepy things, and I'm just like, oh my god. But I'm loving it so far. I really like this first chapter. It's kind of told from the perspective of the little girl who's like almost 8 years old, so and I want to read it because I want to know what happens to her. Oh my god. Next, I get to jump into my physical book. So I just finished the first chapter of Intercepted. It was only 6 pages. It sounds interesting so far. Like, I don't know if I like love the writing, because one of the first things she says is, sometimes I like to hashtag my life, hashtag cheaper than therapy. And like, it's funny, but also I can see that getting kind of annoying after a while. Meeting with this group of girls that call themselves the Lady Mustangs, which is all the wives of the NFL players, and they point out the fact that she's been a girlfriend for 10 years of this one guy, Chris, that's the NFL player, but they let her into the group because they've been together for like 10 years, even though she's not engaged yet, and they kind of like shade her for that, which is annoying. And then she finds out that the quarterback just got traded, and the new quarterback that they just got is Gavin Pope, who's her ex, I'm assuming, because she like has a full-blown panic attack and she's like, oh my god, memories, no, how can this be happening to me? She's with this guy, Chris, who's just not proposing to her after 10 years, and they're just not going anywhere. And then she finds out that her ex, I'm assuming Gavin, is traded to their team. So it kind of automatically hooked me right away, so that's good. I'm curious to see where this goes. I mean, I hope it doesn't turn into one of those like cliche tropey love triangle situations, you know, but I don't know. We'll see. It sounds interesting so far. So the first chapter of An Ocean of Minutes was 23 pages, so I don't know if it's because like this is like the 5th book I've read, but I'm kind of starting to like doze off and like not be able to pay attention as easily. It starts in the very beginning with Frank getting diagnosed with this deadly flu that's going around and killing people, and they're talking about how time traveling is like now a thing, and they know that they invented it in 1993. It takes place though in September 1981, and so she knows that she has to go into the future to 1993 when they invented it, because they have like a cure for the flu. I think that's what it is. The first chapter is basically her going and dealing with getting her pass to go to 1993. When she gets to where she's going, she asks someone what year it is, and they say it's 1998. And so she was rerouted 5 years into the future, and she wasn't supposed to be. Yeah, and then it's weird because the next chapter jumps to September 1978. So then it's gonna go before Frank got sick, so I guess it's gonna give us like some backstory to how they got together maybe, I don't know, but I mean, so far this is okay. The writing is kind of like making me fall asleep at the moment, but that might be just because like I'm not really in the mood to read something like this right now, but I'm still curious to see where a book like this would go. Last one is The Proposal. Let's do this! Just finished the first chapter of The Proposal, and I really like this so far. Basically all that happens in the first chapter is pretty much what you've known from the description. She's at a baseball game with her boyfriend of 5 months, and he doesn't even spell her name right on the like Megatron thing that he puts, like, Nicole, will you marry me? He spells her name wrong, and she's like, what the heck? Like, she freaks out, and like it's awkward because she's only there at the game with him because it's his birthday, and it's like all of his friends are there, and it's just her with him and all of his friends, and she's like dreading it because she doesn't even really want to go, and she doesn't want to be there. And then he like proposes and he spells her name wrong, and then he's like, how, and he's like, will you please marry me and whatever, and she's like, what the hell? And she like kind of freaks out, and she's like, we never even talked about this, like whatever, and he's like, how could you do this to me on my birthday? You know, like giving her the guilt trip. So then he leaves with all of his guy friends because they're all like salty that she said no. Carlos, this guy that's a doctor, and his sister Angela are sitting a few rows away from them, and he just like saw the whole thing go down, and then he sees this camera crew that's gonna like come up and get all in Nicole's face, and he doesn't want her to like have to deal with that, so he goes and like him and his sister go down there and try to act like they're really old friends and being like, oh my god, hey, we haven't seen you in forever, to try to like distract the cameras from like being all up in her shit, and they kind of like save her from the situation she's in. And I just really like this because I'm a huge Dodgers fan because I'm from LA, and I love the fact that Carlos is like, because they offer to give her a ride home, and then she's like, no, you guys, like, you don't have to miss the rest of the game because it's only like the 5th inning or something, and he's like, in his mind, he's like, he could miss the rest of the game. It wasn't like they were playing the Giants or anything. Like, I love the fact that he's like aware of the Dodgers' like biggest rivals, and I love that the author is aware of the Dodgers' biggest rivals because that's just really cool. I like the writing style, and it has like, it's already kind of like funny and cute, and just really like this. Like, I think I'm gonna take this one with me on my trip to California to like read this on the beach, because this is like feeling like a total beach read. I might take both of these to California with me just to have like some summery romance books to read, but definitely this one. I really am liking this one a lot so far. So, and as I mentioned before, The Astonishing Color of After is going to be on my July TBR. I'm just not reacting to this first chapter because I already read it. Another book I might read in July is The Intermission. This was also an ARC that I received from Berkeley, and this one comes out July 3rd, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet, and it's about a married couple who's just not really happy anymore, so they're gonna take an intermission, like a break. Some other books that I might be reading in July, I started Station 11, I got 50 pages in, and I just wasn't really feeling it so far, so I might give this one another chance and just try to finish this in July and maybe see how it goes. And another one is The Book of Essie. I started like 30 pages into this one and I just wasn't feeling it, but I've been like slumpy at the end of June, so I don't know if it was just like my reading slump that was making me like about these, but I might try to finish these in July, like, we'll see. But July is going to be kind of tricky because I'm going to California for 2 weeks. I'm going from July 1st through the 14th. Like, by the time you're seeing this video, I'll be in California. I'm mostly going to be reading books off of my phone for the first 2 weeks, and then by the time I get home, I'm probably going to catch up on reading all the like physical copies that I have here. So we'll see. You know, like I've said before, I suck at sticking to TBRs, so I'm gonna try to read these 6 books that I read the first chapter of for sure, and I hope I can stick to it, but who knows? I mean, I'm kind of impulsive when it comes to reading, so have you read any of these books that I just read the first chapter of? And if you have, what are your thoughts? Or are you interested in reading any of these books now that I've talked more about them? Or were you already interested in them, or, you know, anything like that? Yeah, what are your thoughts on Station 11 and The Book of Essie? Do you think that these are books that are worth finishing, or do you think I should just not? If I'm already not enjoying it, then I wouldn't enjoy the rest of it. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.